For today's adventure, we're going to Missouri, specifically Forest Park in St. Louis, Missouri. Forest Park opened in 1876. Almost 30 years later, in 1904, it became the site of the Louisiana Purchase Exposition, or World's Fair. Its large, flat areas in conjunction with rolling hills made Forest Park a suitable and picturesque site. Standing in front of the Art Museum and overlooking the slope of Art Hill down to the Emerson Grand Basin is the Apotheosis of St. Louis. There's an identical plaque on each side of the plaza. Let's see what it has to say. W.R. Hodges, after design by Charles Henry Niehaus. Apotheosis of St. Louis, 1904 to 1906. Bronze and limestone. This large sculpture portrays King Louis IX of France, 1214 to 1270, the namesake of the city of St. Louis, as a Christian soldier. His apotheosis, or ascendance to the divine realm, is suggested by the sword in the form of a cross and the energetic stance of his horse. Louis' costume is decorated with the fleur-de-lis, the symbol of the French monarchy. Charles Henry Niehaus captured the essence of the king in his legend, rather than historical facts. The sword, for example, is a type not used until the 16th century, and the edging of Louis' cape is purely fanciful. Niehaus, an Ohioan, designed the original plaster sculpture, one of several statues that adorned the grounds of the 1904 Louisiana Purchase Exposition, also known as the World's Fair. It stood at the fair's main entrance, near the current site of the Missouri History Museum. After the fair closed, members of the exposition committee selected this statue to cast in bronze and present as a permanent gift to the city. Niehaus was asked to do this job, but his price was too high. Anxious to have the Apotheosis of St. Louis fabricated and in place before too much time elapsed, the committee contracted St. Louis and W.R. Hodges to cast the sculpture at a considerably lower price. In spite of protests by Niehaus and others, the sculpture was moved to its current site and dedicated with great fanfare and a parade on October 4, 1906. It served as a symbol of the city until the completion of the Gateway Arch in 1965. Apotheosis is a word that finds itself occasionally in classical art. Straight up, it means the culmination or zenith of someone's career or life. In art, it signifies the glorification of someone into a god. For Louis IX here, it may mean the point in his life when he becomes saintly. Here he is on his steed, with his sword held hilt high, imitating a cross, before battle during a crusade. A hero on horseback. As it was, Louis was considered a model ruler, wise and progressive by 13th century standards, and by all accounts, a personable man. But the two crusades he led were ill-fated. The first, the 7th Crusade, was a failure, and Louis died of dysentery during the 8th. This enormous statue, placed near the main entrance to the exposition along the concourse of the Plaza of St. Louis, would have been an impressive sight to welcome visitors to a World's Fair in the city of the same name. As it turns out, this statue is a copy of that impressive original. Most of the structures and sculptures of the exposition were temporary, created out of plaster or staff, which is plaster and hemp, not suitable for permanent construction, but durable enough to endure some months with the occasional touch-up. The Apotheosis of St. Louis was no exception. Charles Niehaus, a famous sculptor, was tasked with creating the original apotheosis. After the fair ended, the Louisiana Purchase Exposition Committee approached him to recreate the statue in bronze, to be presented to the city of St. Louis as a gift. The committee balked at the price quoted by Niehaus, which most sources state was on the order of $62,000, over $2 million in today's money, and instead granted the contract to W.R. Hodges, a St. Louisan, for $37,500. Mr. Niehaus felt wronged and sued. He didn't gain the contract, but was awarded $3,000. The Apotheosis of St. Louis, recreated in bronze, sits on a pedestal carved out of limestone in a small plaza in front of the St. Louis Art Museum, itself one of the few permanent structures from the exposition. The statue overlooks Art Hill, across the Emerson Grand Basin, toward the point the original statue stood, a bit less than a mile away. The Jefferson Memorial Building was built near that point, soon after the Louisiana Purchase Exposition, where it now houses the Missouri Historical Museum. After the fair, the Apotheosis of St. Louis, enormous and attractive, became the symbol of St. Louis, Missouri. In 1965, construction of the 630-foot Gateway Arch in the area of the Jefferson National Expansion Memorial at the riverfront was completed, and the arch became the dominant symbol of the city, although the Apotheosis of St. Louis is still used. Thanks for watching. Please leave a like and hit the subscribe button. Until next time, stay safe and travel well.